Good day, friends of Buzzy. So we are officially kicking off our What Works for Pain live series. What Works for Pain, we're going to do this every day at 3 on Facebook and 4 on Instagram until we change. And today we're going to talk about 3 things. The first thing is in response to a question that was posted actually on Instagram, which is, it's nice to talk about how to keep yourself entertained and busy, but what if you're in one apartment or one apartment with multiple kids and you are truly quarantined and you're not allowed to go outdoors? So we're going to talk about how to overcome feeling overwhelmed in a one-bedroom apartment. Going to talk about a pain reliever of stretching, why it works, how it works, and we will give you a link to 30 days of yoga. And the final thing is talking about the COVID, what's real and what's nonsense. And I'm going to talk specifically today about hydroxychloroquine and the ruckus around that. And then finally, we'll talk about what we're going to be able to include with Vibrcool for our home care pain package. So home pain care package. There you go. All right, so let's start with feeling overwhelmed. A lot of feeling overwhelmed is feeling out of control. And if you are in one small space and you're having a difficult time finding things to do or you're feeling depressed, it's difficult to get started. So this is a 2-part coping mechanism. The first part is what research shows about how to overcome procrastination when you are depressed or overwhelmed. And it turns out that the best way to make something happen is to set an alarm and then visualize multiple different parts of what you're going to do that are easier for you than the thing you need to do. So let's talk about making a list, because one thing that overcomes fear is control. And so having a list of things you want to do can overcome fear. But how do you get yourself to make that list? So here's where the first part comes in. On your phone or in any kind of computer or way that you can, make an alarm to say, okay, at 6 o'clock tonight, at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, whenever it is, I am going to make a list of things to do. And then make it specific. I am going to do it at this table. I am going to do it with this particular cup of tea. I am going to breathe deeply 3 times before I start making the list. I am going to have 3 pens ready, and I'm going to have this particular pad of paper. So in thinking about all of these different aspects of what you're going to do, it dramatically increases the probability that you will actually make that happen. So first part of not being overwhelmed is to make a list, and the first part of making a list is make some really specific things that you can visualize yourself sitting at the table with that cup of beverage, with those 3 pens, with that pad of paper at a certain time, and visualize taking the 3 breaths. Because all of those little parts you can do really easily, and then start making your list. All right, so now let's move to this part. So in making a list of things to do around a 1-bedroom apartment. So we used to do something with my kids called Chore Bucket. And I don't have a chore bucket today, but I've got a chore pot. And so what we would do is make a list of all of the things that actually needed to get done. And those pieces of paper go into the chore bucket. But then you also put in on the same scraps of paper, so it looks the same, things that are going to be fun or different. So what I recommend in a small apartment is that you do things that you can do around the apartment that are related to each of your senses. So for example, put in one piece of paper that is, make something smell good. You can make yourself smell good. You can make your baby brother smell good. You can make the room smell good. You can light a candle. You can cook something. But leaving these fun ones a little open-ended is helpful because it allows for creativity. So put in one for make something smell good. Put in one for do a stretch. Put in one for do a plank as long as you can and start keeping track of it. So you've got a physical thing, you've got a sensorium thing, you've got a smell thing, certainly putting in a taste thing, but temperature helps. So make a warm beverage, make a hot chocolate. It also helps to do something nice for someone else. So put in a call someone who will be happy to hear from you. Put in a call someone that you would normally see. So it's hard to even get yourself to dial, let alone try to dial and do a FaceTime. But putting those in the chore bucket is a way to increase the likelihood that you will do something. We would always put in a danceable song. My personal favorite is Take On Me, but not the Aha version, but the Real Big Fish version. Very difficult not to dance if you have Take On Me by Real Big Fish playing. So put all these in and even read 30 minutes. I made notes. Let's see. Read 30 minutes, clean one pile, wipe down the stairs if you have stairs in your apartment, cook something that you have to cut up so you can smell what you're cutting. Do 2 minutes of bubble breathing, the diaphragmatic breathing we talked about to reduce stress. So putting all of these in a chore bucket and having set yourself the time to make the list, that's my tip for the day for anxiety and fear. So I'm going to put down chore bucket under fear. All right. So now I'm going to talk about the pain management part. And so the physiology of blocking pain involves stimulating other sensation receptors. So the ones we're going to talk about today are called Ruffini corpuscles, and they are ones that you get activated with stretching. So massage can help some of these, but this is really how yoga fits in. So what you're doing is you're stretching the corpuscles, and because your body needs to feel that stretch to know how you're moving, it overrides pain. So the great thing we've got today is a Yoga with Adriene is giving free YouTube yoga lessons, and the URL for this is bit.ly bit.ly to you, and we'll put this up on our Facebook too, but bit.ly to you with a big U and a little u, and then 514R. So Yoga with Adriene is 30 days of 1 hour of yoga and stretching. And this is something that you can do from your phone, you can do in your house, but doing yoga and stretching is really helpful for pain management. All right, so third thing we're gonna do today is talk a little bit about the hydroxychloroquine thing. So I had the opportunity over the weekend to read the actual paper that has been submitted from France with the hydroxychloroquine. And if you may recall, the concept was that there were 26 people who had a malaria drug given to them, and some had a drug that we use for strep sometimes, and for if you can't take penicillin, called azithromycin, and that compared to the, I believe 16 people who did not, or 18 who did not get that combination, either because they refused or because they were pregnant or they couldn't take it, then they looked at little nasal swabs to see who still had COVID. And there was a big difference when you took it, that you didn't have as much COVID if you had taken the medicine. What they left out of this study was that there were 6 patients who were in the chloroquine group who were excluded from analysis because they couldn't get the little nose samples. 3 of them went to the ICU, 1 of them died, 1 of them couldn't take the medicine because it made him so sick. So because the outcome of the study was looking at whether the virus stayed around in their nose, they didn't report them. But what really is important is, are you going to get less sick if you take this medicine? And the thing is, we don't know now. The statistical analysis, if you run it, the groups are just too small. But it starts looking like more of the people who were in the group that got it got sicker. Now they started out being a little sicker. So the important point about this is we just don't know. Until you get big enough numbers to really be able to apply statistics correctly, and unless you're looking at outcomes that are clinically relevant, you don't know. So don't go stockpiling hydroxychloroquine because there are people who really do need it, where it really is proven that it matters. So just chill on that until we actually know. Because right now, having read the paper and looking at the data, I wouldn't take it if I was sick. So there's that. All right. So now, finally, because this is brought to you by Buzzy Helps and Vibrcool, I want to talk about the Vibrcool that you can put a buzzy in, or you can get, it's the same thing regardless of which unit you're using. So you're going to put on vibration where the person is hurting for about 10 to 20 minutes. You can add a heat pack or an ice pack. And if you've lost your ice pack, you can get a really thin baggie and freeze it and put it in it. So wherever the person hurts, if you need to send a care package to someone who's got gout or they've got plantar fasciitis, we've got Vibrcools for all of those. For now, because we're sending Vibrcool in a big box, we are also sponsoring being sponsored by our first partner, who's ClearGear. And ClearGear, this is actually going to come free with every Vibrcool purchase until we run out. We've got about 60 odd of these, and it clears COVID. It's actually been cleared for a long time for coronaviruses, but now they have the specific indication for COVID-19. So ClearGear, thank you so much for donating these. We will be including these with every Vibrcool until we run out. And this is not a specific donor, but when I started hearing about what was going on in Italy, I was like, I'm going to make sure people have stuff to blow their noses. So this could be toilet paper. This could be top dollar on the street corner, 10 individual wipes right here or tissues. So we will also be putting in a free one of these, and as always, a What Works for Pain. And so this is everything that someone you know who can't leave their house but has pain, these are just options for them to try. From magnesium to boswellia to yoga, foam rollers, hot showers, meditation, playing games with people. So one of these will be included in all of them. So until next time, which will be tomorrow at 3, try to get over feeling overwhelmed. Yes, it's going to be scary in the news for a little while, but keep remembering that your job is not to not catch COVID because it's going to kill you. Your job is just to stay home. You just need to keep the emergency rooms and the ICUs clear, and the sheer numbers of people that are impacted are really going to be small. What we're talking about here is the sheer numbers of people who are at risk and keeping them away from the ICUs and keeping them away from the emergency rooms. So stay home, find things to do, and truthfully, it's going to be fine.